Hello guys, it's MAGES here bringing you the mid-season update, and in this video we're going to talk about the mages that are updated. A lot of them have some changes. The most important are those 6 champions and then the other 8 that have smaller but interesting changes. And in this video we're going to take a look at all the mages and see what is changed and what is not changed. And later on in the next video we're going to talk about the new elemental dragons, which are also really amazing, and I think it's a pretty cool idea. But let's get right into the mages. Malzahar is the first one, and he has a nice new passive that gets him into a state when he doesn't take damage if he's out of combat for a while, and CC cannot target him, so this will be really amazing before team fights. Imagine that he cannot take any damage or stun from a team fight, making him really powerful in a team fight. He can even engage, and he definitely cannot be engaged. His Q is the same, it creates that area there that deals damage and silences champions. And with the W now you can spawn the small little dog voidlings and last for a set period of time, and the first time a voidling attacks a champion, large monster, epic monster or assists in killing a unit, Malzahar spawns a new voidling with the same remaining duration, and when 3 or more voidlings are active they all gain bonus attack speed. His E is the same, so it infects one target and deals dot damage, and when that dies it goes for the next one. And he also gains mana when they die. And his ultimate, the suppress, is pretty much the same, but it looks like it lasts less than it used to. Maybe it increases in time, but it also creates the pool that he had before under them, so maybe more damage, and all this damage is a percentage of their maximum health as magic damage per second. Next up we got Brand, and the most significant change to Brand, pretty much the only change, is this new passive Blaze, which is pretty damn awesome, and it kind of works like Mages from World of Warcraft of Fire Mages, Living Bomb. So you gain stacks when dealing damage with abilities, and on the third stack the Blaze becomes unstable and it explodes around them, and let me just show it to you. So when you gain 3 stacks, the target that has 3 stacks explodes like that, and that explosion also counts. So if the other targets had 2 stacks and that from the passive gives them the third stack, they also explode for more damage, and this will be very powerful in team fights. A lot of damage that you can create, especially with your ultimate and your E, you can kaboom everyone in there. His Q remains the same, and if blazed it will stun the target, so it's the same like before. His W also remains the same, and if they are blazed take additional damage, so it's like before. His E is also the same, and if they're ablaze it spreads, so this will be very awesome in team fights to ablaze a lot of targets and make them explode with the passive. It's gonna be really awesome. The new passive is very nice. And his ultimate is also the same, but you can create a very nice passive explosion from it if it bounces enough times on the same target, as you can see here, and the other targets also got 3 stacks. And you can see that black circle around them, so that's the timer that shows you when you can use the passive on them again, when you can make them explode again. It's not that long too, so maybe you can use it twice in a team fight. Well, it takes quite a while, but not that much, so it's like around 4 or 5 seconds, not that much, so maybe you can use it twice if you're lucky. Next is Vladimir, that has the same passive that increases his AP from health and health from AP. The Q is quite the same, but after casting Transfusion twice, gains Crimson Rush for a few seconds the next time Transfusion is available to cast, granting him bonus movement speed and bonus damage. His W is the same, so the Sanguine Pool that makes him go under water. His E is new and is pretty damn nice, so you create this bolt and you can stack it, and if you hold it you gain reduced movement speed, so you can run around with it but you'll be slowed, and it explodes dealing bonus damage, and it also slows when it's released. So look at this, looks pretty damn awesome how you can charge it up there, and boom, also slows the enemy champion that is hit. And the ultimate is also the same, so creates that bolt under them and they take more damage while it's on them, and then explodes for more magic damage. Great, that's it for Vladimir as well. Next one is Zaira, that has a new passive, so she passively now spawns those seeds around her, and the bigger the lever, the more they spawn, but you can also spawn them with your W as well, so don't worry about that. Her Q is changed, it casts differently now, so it casts like that. And again it creates plants from seeds that are like that, from that type. Her W, she can also spawn, no, not only from the passive, but she can still spawn her seeds whenever she wants to. And also it increases the plant's maximum health passively. Her E is pretty much the same, so it roots targets and it creates that plant that has a short attack and reduces enemies' movement speed, and her ultimate is quite the same, and it enrages plants in it that makes them deal bonus damage, so it looks like that and still knocks up. Alright, and those are the changes for Zaira as well. Next is VelKoz, that something is wrong here, I don't really understand one thing. So the passive is the same, it stacks to 3 and at 3 deals bonus, it deals true damage. And that scales with level and ability power. His Q is also the same, but the enemies no longer can see the indicator, so only VelKoz can see it. This is pretty nice. W is also the same. Throws that dash and then it explodes. The tooltip for E is bugged, so you can see this is the old tooltip for his ultimate. But it's the same, it throws that and then it knocks them up. But the ultimate, and this is one thing that I don't really get, so it unleashes that channeling beam that follows the cursor for 2.5 seconds, deals damage and slows, and all enemies that are deconstructed become researched. So what does that really mean? And Life Burn Disintegration Ray deals true damage to research champions, but no longer deconstructs enemies. But what does that mean? Organic deconstruction is the passive, so you can no longer boom the passive on them. So you cannot explode the passive on them, but you deal true damage on them. But how do they become deconstructed? Because look, the first one is not. My theory is that, and now they have that circle around them. When you explode the passive on them once, because you cannot explode it with the ultimate anymore, so that's why it's not exploding it on the first Scion here. But maybe if you hit the passive on one champion, they become like this, and then you can use the ultimate to deal more damage on them. I think so. Probably that's the thing. And now it lasts a few seconds, and if you use it, you increase the damage with them. With the ultimate, probably. Right, so PB just went up and I wanted to check, so I was right. Kinda. So the passive is that deconstructing enemy champions recharges them for 7 seconds, and basic attacks and abilities refresh research, and if they are researched, you deal that true damage. So VelKoz channels a ray of energy that follows the cursor, dealing magic damage up to that total and slowing units, and if they are researched, they take true damage instead. And finally Cassiopeia. So her new passive, that she increases movement speed per level, and this does not stack with movement speed from boots items. That means that on Cassiopeia you no longer beat boots? Probably. So this is a buff, like she gets a new item because you no longer need boots on her. Probably. That's interesting, it makes sense because she doesn't have legs, why would she need freaking boots? And this was said before. So probably. And she also gets this new grounded ability that's pretty damn awesome, so that's for her W. Her Q remains the same. Quite the same, so poisons that area and increases her movement speed if she hits an enemy champion. But the W is nice, so she creates a pool of toxic clouds behind the target or whenever you want to, but it's fixed, the range is fixed. And while in that, enemies are in that place, they take damage per second and it reduces their movement speed. They cannot use stuff like flash or dashes or takes trash lantern, which is pretty awesome. So you can see that she uses the W here and Vi gets cancelled, so she cannot use the dash because she entered in that field. This will be pretty useful in teamfights. And her E is quite the same, but it heals her in the process, and if poisoned the target takes additional damage, and if the target dies, Cassiopeia regains mana. So no longer says that the cooldown is reduced if they're poisoned, so probably you cannot spam it like a son of a bitch anymore. And the ultimate is the same, stuns them and petrifies them if they're facing you, and only deals damage if they're not facing you. Alright, and that's it for the big changes. And now there are a few more changes for 8 champions shown here. If there are more, they are not as important as those, but there are a few cool changes on those 8 champions as well. So for Annie, Tibbers now visually see most Annie's stunned targets. So that's pretty awesome, because you most of the times wanna use your ultimate with stun on it, and now if you have that stun activated, Tibbers deal more damage to everyone hit. So this is only a buff for the Tibbers, which is pretty awesome. Now Swain sends Beatrice, which is the freaking crow, to the target location to cripple enemies. So that's pretty awesome, you also cripple them. Fiddlesticks has a new passive, and if he stands still for a moment, he'll gain a movement speed boost. We don't know how much that lasts, but it's pretty awesome because you stand still when you cast your ultimate, or if you wanna engage, so we'll go with your ultimate and you'll also be able to run after the guys, which is pretty awesome. And Zig's E will execute turrets when they're under a certain amount of health, pretty nice. Probably is not gonna be a very big health since you can destroy towers with him, but makes sense to be able to destroy towers. And Syndra has an updated passive that allows Syndra to spawn and pick up more spears. Yay! This one is interesting as hell for Xerath. So barrages that successfully hit enemy champions grant an extra barrage up to maximum. We don't know how much, but sounds pretty cool. If you manage to hit them right, you'll have a lot of them. So it'll be a very nice artillery. Stay back and explode them all. And for Anivia, her ultimate expands over time and deals bonus damage at maximum size, so you'll need a lot of mana on her, but if that enlarges quite a lot, it's gonna be pretty damn useful. And finally, Veigar has a new passive that grants Veigar extreme evil. So he also gains stacks of ability power when hitting enemy champions with spells, not only killing minions and doing takedowns, which is pretty awesome because now you can stack AP with him if you're playing a harass mode, not only farming. Pretty nice, even if it's 1 AP per ability hit, it's still quite good, and in team fights you're gonna get a lot of them with the meteor and everything, so not bad changes. And those are the changes for the mages. There are also some changes for the items, which I'm not going to talk about right now. You can read those, but I thought the changes for the champions are the most interesting, and the one from the dragon, which is the next video. So if you want to see changes for the dragon, check out the new dragon updated video. And thanks for watching this one. Leave a like, comment and subscribe for more stuff, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.